Can you really get a UK sponsor license in just 10 days? And with the new changes expected in 2026, what should businesses be doing right now to stay compliant and avoid costly refusals? Well, in today's video, we are deep diving into the sponsor license process from application to approval and separating myth from reality around the 10-day priority service. We'll also be covering the latest rule changes, eligibility requirement for UK businesses, documents you need ready before applying, and the common mistakes that get applications refused before they even start. I'm joined by Amil from Mac25 Immigration, who helps businesses and startups secure and protect their sponsor licenses. We'll talk about what happens if Home Office conducts a compliance visit, when companies should apply for a license, the biggest risk that can lead to suspension or revocation, and how to protect your license long term through proper reporting and post license compliance. If you're a UK business owner, startup founders, or planning to hire international talent, this episode will give you a clear, practical roadmap. So let's get started by inviting Amil to the podcast. Hi Amil, welcome to Your Knowledge Buddy. Should I ask for your introduction or not?
People know me.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So I'm not going to ask for introduction anymore. So this is Amil, guys, from Mac25 Immigration. Okay.
Thank you so much.
And today's topic is all about sponsor license. So you guys have already seen in the news from the Home Office, the scrutiny, and there's so much of license cancellation. What do you call it? Cancellation? Revocation. So we'll talk more again in detail about it. However, Amil claims that he can get a sponsor license in 10 days. So we are going to learn from Amil how and what can be done. So I have put some tough questions for you. At least it's tough from my side. I don't know whether it's tough for you or not. And we'll go through that one by one, Amil,
Shoot,
today.
ma'am. Shoot.
Okay, so Amil, how to get sponsor license in 10 days? I think I read one of your posts or I saw some comments. I don't know. So how can anyone get a sponsor license in 10 days?
Be honest, have a good company, have right intentions, and you'll get the license in 10 days. That's the spiritual part of it.
Yeah.
Let's be a bit technical.
And then you think it's possible still now to get the license in 10 days?
100%. I think just tomorrow's post is going to be something, because today on Sunday we got a sponsor license, 8th of Feb. So, and they got the license, I think in 48 hours or something. At the end of the day, when we are talking about the sponsor license, there are so many elements which is work towards that. So let's say, obviously, there are 4 mandatory documentation where you would find in the guidance. That's not the difficult part. The difficult part is how strong is your foundation since the beginning, since the time you're planning to have a sponsor license. So for the audience, obviously, everybody knows sponsor license, but it is a gateway to get somebody to hire who's not British, who have not got a settled status in the UK. And if you have a sponsor license, you can hire someone like that, who's a migrant worker and stuff like that. So whenever we are talking about that, how can we get the license in 10 days? First, when we get a client, we assess them whether they fit that criteria or not. Because a lot of people come to us, they come from a perspective that now we have got a company registered on company house, Amil, this is the certificate of incorporation, now get us the license. This is not how it works. In reality, you need to have at least a business bank account. You need to have your business trading. You need to understand that if you want to apply for a sponsor license, your company is genuine enough, and you have a maybe not currently that a future hiring plan that you want to hire a migrant from India, from Germany, from different part of the world, and you want them in your company. So you need to have a plan before that. So we'll talk. I'm sure you'll be having a lot of questions.
Definitely. So in short, you're saying yes, it's possible to get the license in 10 days as long as you have all the required information.
100% yes.
Yeah. Okay. So given that UK government is proposing so many changes in different visa categories as well, have you seen or have you read or are you aware of the changes which are coming in 2026 for sponsor license? What do you know so far?
As far as for the sponsor license, we have got a new priority fees which has been increased from 500 to 750 pounds, which have been a bit expensive for the new sponsors.
Okay.
But down the line, what I feel, the Home Office is scrutinizing all the licenses. So here, not to have any false claim, because your audiences know me well now, and I have an interaction with them, so I have to give them a clear picture that how this journey is going to look like. So for example, if you come to me for a sponsor license, The deal is that if your company is good enough, if the home office do not want to conduct any pre-license compliance check, then definitely you're going to get the license in 10 working days. But let's say the compliance officer who have got your case and thinks they need to scrutinize, not for the sake of doing it, but they want to know more about the business. So the timeline switches from 10 days to 2.5 or sometimes 3 months as well. Even though you have paid the priority fee of £750, which is non-refundable.
Oh, it's non-refundable.
It's non-refundable. Now things are changing quite a bit, which we'll be talking, down the lane when in this video as well.
So in terms of 2026 changes, so you're saying at the moment majorly you know about the license fee. Sorry, priority fees.
Right, that has already been changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And not anything else in terms of process, in terms of any other documents, nothing more. It's almost same what it was there last year.
Exactly, it was
Yeah.
there last year. Yes, yes.
Okay. Can you discuss in more detail, Amil, what is the exact process?
So I think the journey starts from the day you plan to have a sponsor license. Let's not go into that because it depends company to company and industry to industry. But let's say if you are running an IT consulting firm, my favorite one. So if you're running an IT consulting firm, you have got all the mandatory documentations by the home office, which are bank statements, VAT or office space, PAY, insurance, and it depends from industry. So if you have got all the documentations ready, then we are going to make a legal representation on behalf of the company, and we are going to do the application and ask you to submit the sponsor license to the home office. That's step number 1. If everything goes well, you're lucky enough, you'll get the license within 10 working days. But after that, there was a process. If the home office wants to conduct a pre-license compliance check, which is an inspection over Teams, or maybe they used to come to your own office. But there's a new layer at it which nobody's talking about at this point of time. Since December, what I have seen, most of the clients we apply for the license, the home office sending questionnaires to them.
So everyone or just a few of them?
Few of them, it depends. As I said, previously, if home office wants to know more about your business, rather than conducting an inspection, they'll be sending you a questionnaire.
Okay.
So let's say if I have done 10 licenses in the past 1 month, I have seen 5 of them getting maybe 25, 30, 35 questions. Some people are getting 10 questions. So it depends how much the home office wants to know about the role you want to hire.
Okay.
So that questionnaire is technical.
Okay.
I have seen few questionnaires where the home office is talking about we want to see the employment contract, the client contract, the right to work checks. I'm very much seldom I have seen that people always talk about this, but this is the process which no one is talking about, and we are facing it on a daily basis. And the clients are also annoyed that they were not informed about this process before, but it's quite new for us as well.
Yeah.
So before, if the home office wants to conduct an inspection, they are sending you the questionnaire, and the questions are too much technical as far as the role is concerned. So let's say after the second layer of questionnaire, if the home office is satisfied, they're going to give the license. If the home office wants to know more, they are going to conduct an inspection, which is process number 3. If the home office is not satisfied with the questionnaire and they feel that inspection won't do any justice, and they feel that you are not fit to be a sponsor, then definitely they'll refuse the license.
Oh, okay.
So now, before it was completely different. You apply for the license, you submit the application, maybe you get an interview, maybe not, and that's all done. But now this added layer makes a lot of difference for the sponsors to get a license. So since the beginning, it is very important for whoever watching the video to understand, if you are applying for a sponsor license, make sure your foundation is strong. Irrespective of whatever happened down the line, you'll be able to justify it back to the home office that what you actually need in your company.
Okay. Do you remember, or can you give a little bit more example of the questions you have seen?
Just yesterday I did one.
Yeah.
So we are applying for a sponsor license for a travel company, and the actually company is working with many different countries to get people like to Egypt, to Caribbean countries, one-day trips for UK, stuff like that, and they wanted to actually hire a business development manager. So we got about 30 questions of questionnaire. Home office just wanted to know about how the business development manager is going to be impacting the company in the future. So all the 30 questions, let's out of 30, 27, 28 questions were just technical about the role, what this role is going to be, what evidences you have that you have got the money and stuff like that. So when it comes to the questionnaire, whatever I have seen, 100% of them are being very technical about the role. So let's say, Sarika, you have an IT firm and you just say that you want to hire a HR manager. So in IT firm, you want to hire a HR manager, the home office is going to be very technical about it.
Yeah.
But let's say you are an IT company and you want to hire a tester or a solution architect or an IT consultant, then they would be a bit lenient on you. But remember, they might conduct an inspection where they will be asking you about the question why you want to hire this role and
Yeah.
how you're going to justify to them.
Yeah, I have a question. So when you apply for a license, I didn't know that you got to specify then and there which are the roles you will be hiring immediately. I thought if any company who don't have a license, they just apply for a license without saying which role they are planning to apply. It's only when they issue a COS, then only they are questioned, what role or something.
Yeah.
So if I understand it correct, the first process is, of course, when your business is set up and then you want to apply for a license, you just go and apply for the license with all the documents you said,
of course.
without specifying for which role you will be issuing the COS, right?
So here you need to understand, since the time I started working as an immigration consultant, I always, whenever I apply for a license, I make sure that the home office understand why an ex company wants to apply for a license.
Okay.
Because it is for the sole reason that you have a plan to hire a migrant worker who can be helping you in expanding your business. So if you are saying to the home office, we just want to have a license, we'll see in the future what we need to do. In that position, you might not be able to get the license. But let's say if I'm an education consulting firm and I want to hire an education consultant or a marketing manager, I need to be able to justify that how a marketing manager can help my business to progress. Or a cleaning company, if you want a sales account manager, how a sales account manager will help the cleaning company. So home office officer wants to know, if you're hiring an ex person for this ex company, they want to know the technicalities of that.
Okay.
Since the beginning, I would say.
Okay, so you provide all the details then and there.
Everything.
And then what happens in the future if that company wants to hire more, 2 or 3 more people, which they had not mentioned at the time of sponsored license?
Right.
I hope they will not find any rejection if they have not done that in the beginning, because their business is growing.
Yeah.
They may need to hire more people. So that's still possible, right? That will not lead to any kind of license rejection or revocation.
No, 100% not. Let's say in the beginning, you just have a plan to hire 2 people in your IT firm.
Correct.
One is a developer and one is a tester. And then later on, you feel you need an IT consultant as well because of the new project. So now what is happening? For every COS allocation, 90% of the clients are getting the inquiries from the home office. Let's say 15 to 20 questions. Again, about the technicalities, why you want to hire, what contracts you have and stuff like that. Before, it used to be very straightforward. You apply for the COS, you get it within few weeks of time. But now, most of the COS are getting inquiries from the home office. So it's exactly like the license process and sometimes more difficult than the license process to get the COS. But you can hire as many people as you want, as far as we have got that amount of money and justification and contracts.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, I learned something different today because I didn't know at the time of sponsor license you have to provide that detail.
Of course.
I thought it will be a little vague, and only when you issue a COS then you define, what role or title is needed. Okay, great. Okay, Amil, thank you so far. Moving to the next question. What happens if the home office conducts a compliance visit?
Too many things happens. So the compliance check can be conducted either over the Zoom meeting or the Google Teams, or maybe they'll visit you on space. Yeah. But now I have seen since COVID, 95% of the compliance check, pre-license compliance, as we say, is happening over online. It's happening over Google Meet. When the home office conduct an inspection, they give you a specific date. Mostly it's 4 weeks after the email you get from the home office that they are coming to do the compliance check. And as soon as they send you an email, they give you a checklist that within 5 days you need to submit this documentation to the home office. And after few weeks, they'll be conducting a compliance check. So after submitting the documentation, the home office assess whatever documents they've requested, like right to work checks, last 6 months of bank statements, but it depends from company to company. When they conduct the compliance, the interview can last anywhere I have seen from 20 minutes to 2 hours. And I have been sitting in all the compliance check with my clients.
Okay.
So whenever we are having a compliance check, I personally sit in the pre-license compliance where myself, the home office officer, and my client sits. If my clients wants me to be there.
Okay, I was
Just-
about to ask, are you allowed to sit?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
know that.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So in most of the interviews, I have set myself if my clients need a moral support because I'm not allowed to talk.
Okay.
Only the authorizing officer and the home office officer can interact.
All right.
But I'm just sitting and I'm noting down.
Okay.
For my future clients, what's happening, what kind of questions they ask. So it's easy for me to prepare them in the future.
Yeah.
So the home office officer wants to know about the future hiring policy, the kind of SOC code they have given, the job description, the company's revenue turnover. They actually ask them to show them, the officer, how to do the right to work check. Log into your pension system, log into your bank statements. I've
Nice.
seen this all myself.
Nice.
So this is not been heard, this has been actually seen by myself. So
And they ask all that details.
yeah,
Good.
yeah, yeah.
Good.
They ask you to actually show them how do you
Good.
conduct the right to work check, show them the HR system, attendance, record keeping, visa expiry. I think I myself have got 80-90 questions from the home office itself, as far as the compliance check is concerned. So it is easier for me to prepare the clients now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to ask, say after going through such a thorough process of getting a sponsor license, do home office also kind of review it, say after 6 months or 1 year, how the company is doing, behaving, whether they're following the rules or not? Do they how frequently they do it, if they do it?
So now there is a new regulation by the home office that now they are connected with HMRC officially.
Okay.
So now home office will get all the bank statement, the taxes, and whatever the employer is paying to the applicant, the salaries and stuff like that. And now home office have actually started sending emails to my clients that we have seen you have not paid salary to your employee in the last 2 months. And now the new checks are happening. So now we are working towards the different end, which we never expected. So recently, just last week, one of my client, again having an IT company, having 10 people, but what just one applicant, he forgot to pay salary for 2 months, and then he paid the bulk salary in the 3rd month. So the home office actually got to know what is happening, and then we justified that what actually happened.
Oh, okay.
So
So they are notified.
Exactly, and they have got right to do an unannounced audit as well. I have seen most of the time unannounced audit happening to most of the clients, like care homes and hospitality, restaurants and takeaway. So that's nothing new.
Okay. Wow. Wow, means there's so much which
Yeah.
goes behind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you advise your employer as well to make sure you pay the salary on time, if that is what was committed on the contract or the offer letter, because the other person will suffer if it's on a skill visa, and if they don't get the salary on time.
Yeah.
I don't know, at the time of applying ILR, they will be scrutinized, why you didn't get a salary or the other bits around it. I think so.
Now you understand why I work more than 12-13 hours a day.
You should not be doing it. You should automate your process.
Hopefully soon. Very
AI,
soon.
AI, take use of AI. Okay, we spoke a lot about, again, this topic about sponsor license. So quickly, if you can touch upon some of the eligibility requirements as well for a UK business to apply for a sponsor license, it will help my audience.
So I think at the end of the video we might talk about the misconception, which is very common. But now there are few mandatory documentations as per Appendix A, which we need to submit it to the Home Office as far as the sponsor license is concerned. Let's say you need to have a PAY, you need to have a VAT, you might need an office space, office service agreement. If you're a restaurant, you might need food hygiene ratings.
True.
If you're selling alcohol, you need a premises and alcohol license. If you are having, I was doing a sponsor license for a resort in Bath. So they were doing the weddings. So you need to have permission from the council to do the weddings and stuff like that. If you are having a care home in England, then you need to have a CQC registration as well. So all these small bits, what you need to understand, whatever documents I said, it is not mandatory to submit it all. But out of these documentation, you need to have at least 4 documentation and submit it to the Home Office, depending on the kind of company you have and the industry you're working in. So each industry have got a different subset of documentations apart from the 4 mandatory documentations.
Yeah.
You need to have a trading business. That is the most important part, I would say.
Okay.
I would never recommend anyone who's just starting up a new company, just apply within 1 month of time. We do work with a lot of startups, I would say, but at least give it like at least 2 to 3 months, have those documentation, have a proper trading business and money, so that you qualify to apply for a sponsor license.
Okay, and that was my next question,
Yeah.
So you've already answered that. When should they apply for license? So, what do you say? What are the ways to protect the sponsor license? Because we talked about a lot of things today. We talked about the
Yeah.
issues, the mistakes, we talked about the documents, we talked about the eligibility criteria.
Yeah.
So, what are the ways people should be protecting the sponsor license today once they get it?
I love one line by the Home Office that having a sponsor license is a privilege.
That's true.
And you being a sponsor, you have to go through a lot of rules and a lot of sponsor duties, and you need to understand what it takes to be a sponsor. People think once we get the license, the work is done. The work actually starts after
When you
getting
get the license, yeah.
So you need to have a proper record keeping. You need to have proper managing duties. You need to have monitoring the visa expiry. You need to have a proper robust HR system and all those sorts of things. And make sure whenever you give a COS to any individual, the only person who have got the SMS ID and password, which is sponsorship management system, is only the level 1 user. Even if you're the authorizing officer, you're not allowed to have the SMS details.
Okay.
So whenever I work with my clients, so if I'm not a level 1 user with my clients, I do the COS assistance over a Zoom call. So they log in and we do it on the Zoom. I tell them what place to click, what tab they need to click on, what they need to mention on the COS and stuff like that. So it is very important to understand as a sponsor there are certain restrictions which come with the license, and I think people are understanding. As far as my clients are concerned, I'm making them aware. I have my own WhatsApp small community where I give all the information for free. So I hope people open it sometimes, so that they understand that what comes with having a sponsor license.
Okay, great. Who can join that WhatsApp community?
Anyone, even if you're not my client, I'm happy to put you in the WhatsApp group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll share those details in
Of
the
course.
description, and if anybody wants to be part of that community. Yeah. Okay. So, Amil, anything else you think we haven't touched upon? From my notes, looks like we kind of touched upon everything that I wanted to ask. Anything that we missed, we didn't discuss, and you think my audience should know about it?
So I've seen some of your audience comments on YouTube, the misconception they have about a sponsor license or the self-sponsor, whatever we talk about. Only company who have got £100,000 revenue, they can apply for a license. That's a myth. Only companies who are 2-3 years old, they can only apply for a license. That's a myth. Only specific companies, specific industries, big industries who have got a lot of money, they can apply for a license. That's completely false. So if you're a new company, you're trading enough, you've got all the mandatory documentations, irrespective of how much money you've got in the account, that doesn't matter if you can justify it to the Home Office. If you are aware about the fact that what it takes to be a sponsor, as I said, we train clients for the sponsor duties and stuff like that, then you'll be fine. So the misconception needs to be understood well. These are the things which is not related to the sponsor license, the money, the industry, the timeline of your business and stuff like that, whether it's a skilled worker sponsor license or self sponsorship. So need to understand the small technical details about it.
Okay, great. Thank you. That was an eye opener, and I hope others are making notes as well, so that they don't have to go through the pain that few of the clients, your
Yeah.
clients, are going through.
True.
And some of my audience. Thank you, Amil. Thank you for sharing knowledge again with my audience, and I'll speak to you soon. And for anybody who's looking to take advice from Amil, all the details will be in my description and my pinned comment. You can book his session, and also you can drop us an email at ykb@mac25.co.uk.
Perfect.
Thank you.